I've always been in food and beverage. To the best of my memory, I've never been allowed to or able to create a new product. It was always like selling, marketing, talking about it, analyzing it, whatever it may be. So I'm like, man, if we're gonna create something, I really don't want to fuck it up. Bean2Bean is a coffee company here in Philadelphia. We roast our own coffee, we distribute our own coffee. We opened up a cafe last year over here in Northern Liberties, 5th and Oxford. Each one of our signature roasts took us about 1 to 2 years to taste test every week and get it right. And people would make fun of us like, how could you run a business if creating a product takes you over 1.5 years? You're never gonna get anywhere. You're never gonna move fast if every time you're gonna come out with something new, it takes you 1.5 years to get it just right, to make a decision. And we would think about that, like, I wonder if they're right. Like, I don't know. Even with things like our box design, it took us 1 year to do our first box design, and it took us another year to completely get down every detail of our second box design. But now I am feeling the payoff. Because, Schuylkill Select, Franklin Reserve, 76 Espresso, these are things we worked years on perfecting. And now I feel like we don't have to try at all to sell it to people. It's at a point where it's just like, taste this. And then they taste it again next week. And like, it tastes the same all the time. It's always smooth. It's always good. I'm like, yeah, like we must have good coffee. And it's almost like not hitting me like, oh yeah, like 8 years ago, we would not rest or stop until we had it just exactly the way we wanted it. Bean2Bean really started in terms of like a friends and family side project that I wasn't really involved in at the time. My business partner who runs the cafe with me, Obel Hernandez, his father was the original founder of Bean2Bean. He was the taste tester for Maxwell House for 20 years. I've known him since I'm a little kid. So I always knew about his involvement in Maxwell House and that he would travel the world to go to different coffee farms and things like that. 2013 to 2015, it was like friends and family out of a garage sort of thing, like here and there, like a lot of smaller coffee roasters seem to start out kind of brown bagging it. Obel at the time, he was working for different Major League Baseball teams. He was working for the Houston Astros, the Atlanta Braves, the New York Mets. I was working in seafood. So we just kept trying to convince him, like, let us help. It eventually got to a point where we were helping so much, it was almost like a full-time job. So in 2018, we said, let's make it our full-time jobs. Let's quit the other things we're doing. Let's go in on a space, a warehouse space in Port Richmond. Let's buy into the company. And that's really when I always consider like it became our own. Like 2018 was the first time, we took out a commercial lease, all that. That's when I really view Bean2Bean becoming a coffee company rather than just kind of like a garage roaster. We really wanted to take over and we really wanted to get into it because we had always been around coffee. We've tasted good coffee. We know what good coffee is and we're always learning more and more and more. But we just felt we could do something different with it in Philly specifically. A lot of coffee roasters feel that producing a special lot of coffee or a special type of coffee will bring people in and connect them to the brand, and they'll talk about it, and they'll create a welcoming cafe. And I agree with that to a certain point, but once again, it's like we should have that. That should be understood. We have a special lot of coffee. We have this, we have that. We should talk about it. But really, I think that only brings in like people who are very much into coffee, which is fine. That's what we all want. But I like to bring people in who don't really like coffee, or who don't drink it black, or who've never had cold brew, or who don't know about a certain thing. And it's almost like reactionary. We like to test them. We like to say, come on, give us a chance. Like, we know what you've had at other places, but tell us what you like. Tell us what flavors you like in life, not just coffee. Tell us what you like to do. What do you do for a living? And we just try to engage them, find something that maybe they always have thought that they wouldn't like, and get them to like it. We would hear from people a lot, I've never been able to drink coffee black until I've had yours. Your coffee is the smoothest coffee I've ever had in my life. So like fast forward to 2022, we started to put that tagline in everything. The smoothest coffee you'll ever drink, the smoothest coffee you'll ever drink, the smoothest cup you'll ever have, the smoothest coffee in Philadelphia. And we still stand by that. In our roasting process and with the beans we select, I would say that always is like factor one. And really like from there, we'll develop the branding, the story, We'll fine tune it. We'll get some packaging for it. But if it's not smooth, if it really doesn't touch your palate in a balanced way, and someone says they're feeling a little too much bitterness, a little too much this, a little too much that, it's just not going to make it in our catalog, because what we're always trying to do is appeal to the common person, not just the person who already knows everything there is to know about coffee. I also realize how important it is to have special things in really almost any industry, but especially in food and beverage. I feel every specialty type of company, which coffee is specialty, or specialty type of food, has a service or has a product that is like high and above the rest. And I like having that, but I do like most of our coffees and products to be accessible to the general population based on price, based on flavor profile, based on how readily available it is from around the world, that we can keep serving it to these people. So that's always important to us, is just make sure we have stuff that tastes good, that the majority of people like in year-round supply. I don't really believe in saturating a market with brick and mortar stores. I believe in saturating a market with a lifestyle, with a way of life. Like, I think that it's too risky to try to go after Philadelphia by opening up store after store after store after store. There are some other coffee companies that might believe otherwise, but I also believe with some of it, it's like being first to the game, like building that empire. And I try to fill in the cracks. So it's like, I would never approach an investor and say, we have a great cafe and we're going to keep opening up many more of them and you should invest in that idea. I would say you should invest in the idea that people who have met us only one time 4 years ago at an event still talk about that event and still talk about our coffee. And 4 years from now, who knows who might be buying it. So I see the longevity in our company by the experiences we create. And I really, truly believe the bigger the spaces we get, the more opportunity we get, some of the funding we get, like we just keep creating more memorable experiences. And I think that's invaluable. Like you can't buy an experience to impose on someone. You can do your best to create one and hope that they remember it. And I always have felt that we've been really, really, really good at that. And that's something that nobody can take away from us. I love being in a place where people are just like in a little bit of disbelief when they walk in, like, I thought it was something completely different. Or I can't believe you're here. I'm like, cool, like we've already changed your expectations. Let's keep that going. Like, let's show you what other cool things we can do. Billy Penn Studios has presented to us the ability to meet people that maybe we wouldn't have met so quickly, maybe we wouldn't have met ever, maybe we would have met them on different terms, where it's just they don't see what we're capable of. Not just like serving coffee, but being able to bring so many people in a room together of all different backgrounds and income levels and whatever else it is. But I believe in that same regard, we bring to Billy Penn a level of excitement and a level of curiosity in this neighborhood that they've not experienced maybe ever. Someone asked me today, I forget who it was, they said, do I meet a lot of people time and time again in the coffee community because it's so small in Philly? I said, it is not small at all. I was like, I feel we have one of the biggest coffee communities out there where like, I'll keep meeting people year after year after year who are like, I've been a barista for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Oh, I've owned this cafe for 8 years. I'm just finding it for the first time now. I'm like, if we were such a small community, I would have found out about this 8 years ago. I know of people who won't move to certain parts of the city simply because like, well, there's no good cafes around there. Which I'm like, wow, like that's how much it matters to you? Like you're not even gonna look at the home? You're not even gonna wonder what the parking situation is, anything? It's just like, well, there's no good cafes over there. Like I couldn't see myself enjoying that area. And I'm like, that's wild to hear. I am Jonathan Pastore. I'm one of the owners of Bean2Bean Coffee, and we have the smoothest coffee in Philadelphia. Bean2Bean Cafe is located inside Billy Penn Studios at 5th and Oxford in Philadelphia, and we're open 5 days a week from Monday through Friday.